Guys, deluded YouTube's N'Golo Kante. I'm back again now. Whether it's in a World Cup year like now, where it's more relevant, whether it's whenever England go out of domestic competitions like the Champions League and things like that, or don't achieve in major tournaments, the talk of a winter break is always introduced. It's introduced from. I mean, it's they speak of wanting to introduce it for many reasons: commercial opportunities. The main reason, players' fitness and being more competitive, and all of them things. It's been obviously brought to the forefront more because we're in a World Cup year. In fact, we're actually I believe, from the 2019-20 season, there will be a winter break of sorts in the Premier League. I actually do believe it's something like it's broken down in the sense where the FA Cup is. I have to do a video about it, but the FA Cup, I believe, is been altered. There's a certain round in the FA Cup that would be done in midweek, and then there's a round of Premier League fixtures where it'd be 5 on one weekend, 5 on the other. So it does work out well, man. So yeah, I want to see how they implement it with the Championship and League One and below sides, because them man they play a mad amount of games. But yeah, you would think that with this being said, that there wouldn't be any surprises, but a research paper released by CIES, they're big. They check out their website, man. They do a lot of good articles and things like that, especially in regards to the World Cup. They've actually found that English players, or that the people that have been called up by England to play for them at the World Cup, when you compare them to, there was a lot of nations, but when you compare them to, let's just focus on Brazil, Spain, and France, they've actually played less football. So you always hear winter break players being fatigued, etc., etc. But if they've played less football, how much of an argument? Based on this, Jack, I'm just being devil's advocate. Based on this research paper, how true are these claims? If you've played less football than the Spaniards, the French, or the Brazilians, for example, four big nations when it comes to football, how valid is your claims if you've played less football? Even though the fact that them nations there do have international breaks, winter break. I keep saying international breaks. Obviously, a lot of the data, we can't take the data for gospel because context is needed. Immediately when I opened the report and I looked at the English squads, you could immediately paint somewhat of a picture. For instance, Rashford started off playing a lot for United. He was dropped out the side. Delph's not really a regular for City. He fills in and stuff like that. Kane and Rose, they're regulars, but Rose hasn't really had a season to remember following last year. Kane had his a little spell on the sidelines, and there's little other things like that within the side. Not to say the other nations haven't had that, but when you look at it as a whole, you can kind of see certain things, and pictures are painted really to a degree. There is a case for an international break. I've told you guys I do think winter break. I told you guys previously I do think it's overstated, but yeah, man, if they're bringing it in, they're bringing it in. Also, when you looked, Spain played the most. They played around just over 10,000 minutes. Then it was England. Then England. So 10,000 more minutes than England collectively for these players. My handwriting is poor. Even I can't understand it. France had just about 5,000. Brazil had 4,000. So yeah, man. Each English player played on average on 43 games. So yeah, man. What does that say? Yeah, an average of 40. Each England lad had an average of 43 games. When it was broken down further into full games, I think that drops to 37. Portugal were after England when it comes to playing the most. So England have played more than Portugal, Denmark, Uruguay, Serbia, Germany, and Argentina. They're all behind England, and then the other nations I've said. So it was an interesting report. And when you look at it, it said only Trent Arnold and Henderson have played more than 800 minutes, which equals to nine full games. Obviously, it's an average, people. So they're looking at the squad and they're making an average. So that was interesting, man. That was also interesting. It also said Brazilians have played the most collectively out of everybody. So that's interesting, especially when you look at Madrid won the Champions League. You got Marcelo, Casemiro, etc. On that topic, there's a lot of Spaniards must have been playing forever as well. So there's a lot of football that's being played. So again, I don't want to read too much into it because, like I just said, the Delph, the Kane, all their circumstances, there is validity to this statement, but there is also isn't, so we can't take too much of it. But it shows you how overstated to a degree can we think that the need to introduce a break and the assumption that introducing a break is going to make the top six, assuming whoever gets champs, going to make them more competitive, going to make them have more of a chance of winning stuff, going to make it, just because we're speaking about British football, going to make English players more competitive and sharper and all of these things. I do agree with a lot of that, but by the same token, I have a job with you guys to look at all angles, and I do think it's overstated. And when you see articles like this, yeah, you can't fault it, man. CR7's Ronaldo's played more minutes than Lingard, Rose, and Kane combined as well. It threw up there, but again with Rose and Kane, Kane's played a lot this season, but we need to remember he's had injuries. We need to remember Rose has been willy won't he sort of thing. In the top 100 in terms of players that have played the most, only Dele Alli, Dyer, Kane, Maguire, and Pickford are in there, to be honest. So again, how much? Obviously. Kane, Dele, and Dyer are probably the spine of English football, English national team to a degree. So you can't really get onto them. But if there's only 5 English players within that 120, within that 120, within that 100 top 100 for playing the most, how valid are these claims of bringing in an winter break? How is that going to better anything? Like, how is it going to make anything dramatically improve? I do think it will help, but by the same token, I can say it won't. So we actually won't know until we see the benefits. I actually think we're still going to be in the same position, still moaning about things. Yeah, you can say that there's a need for a break, but if you have the clear way of playing, if you put your hat on a number of players similar to what Germany did before 2010 with the England with the under-21s championship they won, and then 2010 World Cup with Ozil, Muller and that. Unless you do these sort of things as a nation, you're not going to see success. France put in mad work. Now you see how much great young players are in that France side, the France under-21s, 19s and so on and so on. And you just got to look at French football and their academy sides. There's lovely French players dotted everywhere at all clubs. So until you do these sort of things, which they're doing, and you're now seeing England getting success, under-20s and under-17s Euros, getting to finals of certain things, doing bits. Third final in a row in Toulon against Mexico coming up, for example. So these are the sort of things that will bring success more than bringing in international winter breaks, in my humble opinion. So yeah, man, I do think the call for rest is valid, but when you see articles like this and stats, you can't just look at stats because there's no context to it. Like I've given you with Rose and Kane, but how valid are these claims then when you see these things? And on that note, guys, deluded, get in the comments, subscribe and do the rest. One of you could have told me the mic was there, but I'm out.